Today we're going to be looking at this, the Maven RS.4. Now if you're from the UK, you're probably wondering who are Maven. Now Maven are a US based company and they were founded in Wyoming back in 2013, and they based their company on making high quality hunting optics. And they were bringing them to the market at a significantly reduced cost owing to their direct to customer sales model. So there was no middleman, but Maven were producing the scopes, sending them straight out to the customer for a reduced price. Fast forward to 2020 and they produced this, which is the RS4, and it's their flagship competition model. And come forward to today, they're now operating out of the UK, and you can purchase Maven optics from mavenbuilt.co.uk, and you still get the benefit of that reduced cost, even though they are having to ship it via a distributor. Now, taking a closer look at the Maven RS4 from back to front, at the rear here we have a 42mm ocular lens with a rubberized eyepiece. It's adjustable from +3 to -3 on the diopter. We have a 5 to 30 magnification range with a large magnification ring with aggressive knurling and a small throw lever. It's very smooth, very easy to turn. Even with the small throw lever, it's still easy enough to get a grip with gloves, without gloves, owing to this aggressive knurling. Now in the US, they do sell a larger, more traditional throw lever, but that's not currently on the UK website, so I don't know if that's going to come to the UK market, but that would make it even easier as well. Moving forward, we have a 34mm main tube, which houses one of 4 reticles. You have a choice of 2 minute angle reticles and 2 mil radian reticles. They are the CFR mil, which is competition focused mil radian, which is the model that I've got here. You also have the SHR mil, the SHR MOA, and the MOA2. Now on this, the CFR, you have a small diamond, a small floating diamond in the centre of the reticule with 0.2 mil radian stadia lines along both the horizontal and vertical planes. You have larger lines marking every 1 mil, and between 2 and 3 mils you have 0.1 mil stadia lines for accurate milling and ranging of targets. Now some Christmas tree reticules I find can be quite cluttered and quite confusing. The CFR isn't one of them. It has plenty of space between all of its markings, so the 0.2 mil lines are small enough that you can see the target clearly, but they're still clear enough that you can pick out your point of aim. Likewise, the windage lines as you go down the elevation plane are nicely spaced out. There's a small dot so that you can reference within that inside that 2 mil between each line, and that small dot doesn't take up a lot of room, but it really helps you picture where the aim off points would be. Moving forward to the turrets, the elevation turret is on this model 0.1 mil click for 10 mil worth of rotation for 35.5 mil of total travel. That's 120 MOA total travel on the MOA scopes. The windage turret has 20 mil or 50 MOA worth of travel, and it's clearly marked on here left and right in both directions. They both feature 0 reset. All you have to do is unscrew this top ring on the turret, and that's on both of them. Lift off the turret itself, the turret body, rotate it back to 0, put it back on, and secure the top cap. Underneath the elevation turret is a mechanical 0 stop. It's a ring that runs around the centre of the elevation turret. You undo the 3 grub screws, drop it down onto the main turret body, rotate it round clockwise until the 2 silver pins touch, and then retighten all 3 grub screws, and that would be the 0 stop in place. The clicks themselves are a little bit of a stray away from what we've seen probably in the newer competition style scopes, where they're solid, loud clicks. These are solid, but they just feel and sound a bit softer. Don't know if you can hear that. But they're still very, very accurate and very precise. And I describe previous scopes that I've had as being a little bit more agricultural feeling, and if you were making a big coarse adjustment, you'd sometimes go straight past where you're having to go to, and then you'd have to adjust backwards. Whereas on this, where they're relatively soft, you can sort of slow yourself down and speed up without it affecting how you're adjusting the turret. So you can be quite precise with just doing one turn as opposed to having to do a coarse turn and then do a couple of smaller turns back or forth. So I really like the turrets, even though they're perhaps a little bit different to a lot of what the competition are doing. As expected for an optic of this price point and quality, it has no issues with tracking, and it resets to 0 perfectly every time. Coming round onto this side with the parallax is adjustable from 15 meters all the way through to infinity, which makes it perfect for things like PR22. There's a small white mark in here so that you can figure out where you're lined up. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Now, the only complaint with the parallax is that it is quite stiff. I'm not even going to try and attempt to turn it, because at the moment I've got a broken finger, so I'm not going to try and attempt to turn that because it is quite stiff, and I'll probably cause myself a bit of pain doing it. And that's the only thing I probably wish that they'd made a little bit smoother, because everything else is really smooth. The eyepiece is smooth, mag ring is smooth, turrets are smooth. That is just a little bit stiff. It's got illuminated reticule in both green and red. It has 5 brightness settings for both. Now the first 2-3 illumination settings on both red and green are perfectly usable and they work really well. The 4th and the 5th, they tend to add a little bit of blooming around the reticule, and it makes it not unusable, but quite ugly to look at and look through. The other thing to be careful is if you're twisting it round to the red illumination settings, is that the battery cap is right on the end of the turret, and you can sometimes, if you're not careful, undo that. So you just got to be careful to turn it with that centre, the main part of the ring as opposed to the cap. Coming forward, we have a 56mm objective lens. All of the lenses in here are Japanese EE glass, and it's constructed in Japan before being shipped to the US for quality control. The clarity, the brightness, the contrast is superb. It's head and shoulders above my old Vortex Razor Gen 2, which when I watched reviews getting that, people were saying that that is comparable or easily up there with the likes of Schmidt & Bender and Night Force in terms of glass clarity, and this blows that out the water. So very impressive glass quality. The front of the objective lens is threaded as well for a sunshade, which is available on Maven's UK website for £19.99. It doesn't come with any accessories other than a scope cover, a neoprene scope cover. Okay, so you can purchase the Maven RS4 by going to mavenbuilt.co.uk, and on there you'll find this for £1,889. Now, if you go to the checkout and at the discount code section apply JC10, that'll give you a 10% discount, bringing it down to about £1,700. It might be a few pence over £1,700. Now, that is an extremely reasonable price for a scope of this quality. In terms of warranty, Maven have an unconditional lifetime transferable warranty. So regardless of where or when you bought your Maven optic, they will cover it for damage and defects. Now that doesn't extend to anything that's cosmetic and doesn't affect the function of the scope, and it doesn't extend to anything that is deliberately caused. Now, in terms of my relationship with Maven, they sent me this on loan, and it was a 90-day loan for me to review. I was under no obligation contractually to say anything positive. If I hated the scope, I could have told you I hated the scope. However, I've been so impressed with it, I've already sold my Vortex Razor Gen 2, and I've asked if I can purchase this off them, which I will be doing in the near future. Probably by the time this video goes live, I will have purchased this. So I am that impressed with this scope, especially at the price point. Now, the Maven RS4 offers hard to beat value for money. The glass on this thing is incredible. It's up there with some scopes that go into sort of the £3,000 mark. So for this price point, it is hard to beat. The turrets offer loads of adjustment. They're very, very precise, very tactile, and just overall, it is a solid choice. Now, if you've enjoyed this review and you've found it helpful, please go down and click on the subscribe button. Also head over to JC Precision Rifle on Instagram and follow us there as well for more content from us. Now, if you end up buying a Maven optic or any of the RS4 or any of their other optics for that matter, tag me on Instagram, let me know what you think of it.